against the Oil. Was it everything you thought? Were you surprised at the early lead, the pull from Jack Campbell? What did you see that we can look forward to the rest of the season? Albeit they only meet maybe 2 more times.
Yeah, only 2 more times. They're both in Calgary, so that was our only visit to Edmonton. I guess for me that's the good news there. But anyway, I have to tell you, I never did think Jack Campbell was going to be the answer. I saw too many of his downswings in Toronto for me to believe that he was going to be the answer in Edmonton. I know it's a small sample size. It's one game. Markstrom has trouble in that little matchup too, and you can't judge him based on that. But to have him pulled 4 goals on 10 shots, guys. 10 minutes into the game, it was 4-1. We were on pace for a 30-goal game, and it wouldn't have, somehow it wouldn't have surprised me given all the craziness we've had over the last couple of years with the Battle of Alberta. So it lived up to the hype. Yeah, the last period was a little bit of clamp down, boring hockey, but that's what teams got to do to hold on to the lead. But lots of great storylines when those 2 teams meet, and this one didn't disappoint at all.
Well, looking at this Calgary team, everyone was so excited. Obviously, a lot of turnover, but excited about the new players. I know we're doing the whole small sample thing, 2 games, but early returns on Huberdeau and Kadri and Weegar. Any thoughts on those guys so far?
Huberdeau has been pedestrian at best. That top line has shown no chemistry whatsoever. I think their only points came on the power play, and they knew it was going to take time. And I think a lot of people have big questions about whether Toffoli's able to handle that job on the top line. I mean, you got big shoes to fill when you're replacing Matthew Tkachuk on a line that was, don't forget, that line was the best line in hockey last year and carried this team to the division championship in the regular season. They can't count on that at all this year. No semblance. If this is a top 20 or 30 line in the league, I'll be pretty, I think they'll be happy. So Weegar's been pretty good too, but not great. The coach, Daryl, he comes down on everybody. You could score 4 points and Daryl will rip India. Weegar, he said, well, he's pretty good with the puck, but he's not very good at checking. He has to learn our system. So there's your honest approach. And then the best player by far, not just of the 3, but on the team, has been Nazem Kadri. He's been everything as advertised. Yeah, it's 2 games in, but his line's been the best line. He creates energy, spark. He did a great job on Connor McDavid the other day. He's got a beautiful goal at a key point in that game. Nazem Kadri. I saw a tweet from you, Kipper, the other day about how perception of this guy's changed. And I was just having that conversation recently. When he left Toronto, I don't think anybody was talking about this guy one day getting a $49 million contract, being considered a real leader, being a clutch playoff performer. But that's his reputation now. And, maybe you think it's unwarranted. I don't know if you think it's unwarranted. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I liked your point on Twitter that the guy is totally transformed how people see him around the league.
Oh, no. I'm all in. And I got a chance to watch him in junior hockey. And the one thing about Naz that I think that the Leaf fans only got a small glimmer of is how offensively talented he is. And how he's got great finish, great hands. The problem here in Toronto is he felt like, when the Boston Bruins started pushing the Leafs around, he was the only one that could stand up to them. And certainly when he started focusing on putting the puck in the net, which is now, I never thought I'd say this, but, I always thought of him as maybe a 50 or 60 point guy. He is legit a point a game guy. And on a good year can crack 90 to 100 as he proved. And I think he knows that now, and I think the league knows that now. I think everything's warranted that I said about him.
Yeah, here's a proposition I threw out. I don't own a betting site, but if I did, here's the prop I throw out there. Of all the guys involved, of the 3 guys that the Flames picked up, Weegar, Huberdeau, Kadri, and then the 2 guys that the Flames lost, Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, how many of those 5 could possibly get back to the point total they had last year? They all had career years. They all had crazy numbers. And I think the only guy that really has the best shot is Kadri. Weegar maybe because he's going to get a ton of ice time here, and Daryl loves him. But But to your point, Kadri's the guy who could get back to 87 points again. That's not what they're paying him for. They're paying him for a whole lot less than that, or a whole lot of other things. But I agree with you. This guy, boy, he's impressed me on and off the ice.
Hey, how close would Calgary Flames fans be watching the Florida Panthers, and on every loss, how hard would they be cheering?
It's funny. I think people more so are going to be cheering every Columbus loss, which won't be hard because I think they're going to lose a ton of games. I don't think that people, because Matthew Tkachuk left like 10 days after Johnny did, but in a completely different fashion. Like, people have a lot of respect for the way that Matthew Tkachuk left. He was up front, said, I'm going to leave in a year, so you might want to trade me now. And given the body blow that this franchise and this city and this fans took with Johnny Gaudreau at the 11th hour, he's looked at in a whole different light than Johnny Gaudreau. So I get your point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody's really cheering for Matthew Tkachuk, but they're cheering for him a whole lot more than they are for Johnny Gaudreau.
Is it kind of like the Tavares thing? They're looking at Gaudreau like as he screwed them over type of thing?
Oh, yeah. The narrative is definitely one that people are very angry, very bitter. And it wasn't just because he left. That's a great question, Borny, because I don't think he's here till January. I have to check that again. It's time heals all. Time heals all, right? Yeah. And I know that in that front office, and I'm not talking about Brad Trillin, but people I've talked to in that front office, like the way they felt after Johnny literally at the 11th hour changed course and said, sorry, guys, I'm not coming, after leading them to believe for sure that he was coming. I know there were people in the front office who were saying, you know what, we're not having a tribute video when he comes back. Forget that. The way he screwed this organization, forget it. Now, I've talked to some of those same people since, and they're now like, yeah, you know what? Okay, we were emotional. It was an emotional time.
Yeah,
he'll get his tribute video. He's one of the greatest Flames of all time. Scored one of the most iconic goals in this franchise's history. That one against Dallas in overtime. No, there'll be people standing, but there will be some people booing, Borny, for sure. Some people don't forget. Most people will.